Okay, so this week we are chatting about mental fitness and the tips on helping you create the building blocks. I have something exciting also in the pipeline. So watch this space on mental fitness. I'm going to be releasing a 4-week course in the upcoming weeks. It will be an online course and you can join it at any time. And you'll be also able to do it at your own pace. This webinar is just going to touch on a few of the aspects that the mental fitness 4-week course will also have in it, but in more depth, and obviously a lot more information as it is a 4-week course. All right, so thank you for all those who've joined me live this morning. Again, this is being recorded for those who will want to watch it later in your email boxes. This is also being run live as a PowerPoint presentation for all you guys on my timeline. So if you want to pop in and join my group, or if you would like to register and receive it online, there is also a link there on my timeline. So, find my mouse. Okay, so the topics we're going to discuss today are mental fitness. So what is mental fitness? Why do we need mental fitness? And what are the 4 core building blocks to mental fitness? And of course, there is a lot of building blocks to mental fitness, but I think a lot of them will always lead back to these 4 that we're going to chat about today. So what is mental fitness? So in a nutshell, it can be described as the ability to help with your life and to lead it in a healthy way. And if only if it was that easy. Mental fitness can be defined as having and maintaining a well-being and cultivating awareness of how we think, how we behave, and how we feel. So to start off with, mental fitness is, we all know the importance of physical fitness, and we all understand how physical fitness is about keeping us healthy and vibrant in our lives. And most of us do have a good understanding of that, at least to some degree. What you may not know is the importance of mental fitness and how equally important that is, not just from a mental perspective, but also from a physical perspective. Both of them are intertwined. So you can only achieve mental fitness if your body is functioning well, and that's what we mean by having them intertwined. So taking the steps to building mental fitness really does enhance your ability to cope with stress, and it also improves your physical health, your productivity at work, and your relationships with the people around you, those most important people around you, and also your overall happiness. So neglecting your mental health is really something that you have to watch in regards to it. Decreases your amount of resilience if you don't have mental fitness and mental health, because when you get struck by life's ups and downs, you can be left making poor choices, poor lifestyle choices and decisions, because you can't see the forest through the trees. So mental health is really important. So here we go as to why do we need mental fitness? So just as we discussed that physical fitness provides us with the increased ability to respond to life and all its richness, I can't say that word very well, mental fitness that helps, and mental fitness, and it helps us in the same way. It also provides us with a space of how we choose to respond to a situation. And this is all about stopping before you react. and really assessing their situation before you respond. So this, in a way, it's about forethought from an external situation that might be coming your way, or a feeling that you might be having. So as a result, we are less likely to sustain that emotional and relational adversity that can come with some situations from our external environment. When you're more mentally fit, you can recognize that you do have a choice, because everything that comes our way, we have a choice on how we respond to that. And if something happens and your first response is to get angry, then you're less likely to make a good decision in that moment about how to respond more effectively. So when an angry statement, for example, comes your way, your mental fitness gives you the ability to just respond the way you actually want to respond in that moment, rather than having to reset or mend fences later. And I think that's really important, because in some ways it's like assessing the wisdom of hindsight in the present moment. It really gives you that ability to stop yourself before you respond. When we're mentally fit, we tend to interact with the world differently. And I think that's a classic example of that. It is an accumulative effect on our emotional health. And if you imagine being less reactive to all the thousands upon thousands of interactions that we have, that our mind has every day, if you can react to those things the way you would like to react to it, instead of being in flight mode all the time, imagine the improvement on your day-to-day life. So in some way, our physical fitness also affects our mental health. Our mental health ultimately also affects our physical health and its wellness. And I think that's something that people really need to understand. It's not one or the other. As I mentioned earlier, they are both intertwined. And here I have a quote, and I don't know, I haven't been able to source who it's from. Your strongest muscle and your worst enemy is your mind. Train it well. And I think that's pretty important. I really like that quote, because it is about, your mind is something that's forever growing and forever changing. If we want to go, for example, if we talk about an example of mindset, we want to go from a fixed mindset to a growth mindset. It's all about just carving new patterns and pathways in our neurological space. And it's about creating that new path that becomes automated. Everyone has the ability to change the way they think and feel. It's just sometimes it becomes more ingrained, and it's a hard track, but it's certainly achievable. And I think for people to understand that, especially if they're in a really down space and a down moment, everyone has the ability to change and get themselves out of where they are. Some people just need more facilitation than others, but it's always possible. Whoops, I'm in the way. Let's move me out of the way. All right, so we're just going to touch on briefly the 4 core building blocks for mental fitness. And then I'm just going to move on to a few tips. So the first one, of course, is emotional. So the ability to manage strong emotions. And these strong emotions are things like self-acceptance, your own self-esteem, your confidence, how resilient you are when you face adversity, your anxiety, your stress. All those fabulous emotions is what we're talking about there. So it's how you manage those is the first core building block. The second core building block is social. Being social. Friends are important because they bring companionship, they bring support, they enrich our lives. And according to a study that the Mayo Clinic did, people who have friends around them quite a lot are generally physically and more emotionally healthier than those that don't, and they tend to have a better quality of life. So we take anything for this. Having your tribe is really important, keeping those important people around you, whether they're family or friends. The third core building block is financial. So according to some studies, approximately 40% of us experience stress due to money issues at some stage. Often enough, this creates some sort of negativity in our work and certainly our relationships, and usually our close relationships, like our spouses. And our children, things like that. So financial wellness isn't necessarily about having a certain amount of money at your disposal. It's more about feeling control of your finances and making sure that you're in a space where you can handle a setback if it happens, and being on track to achieve your financial and life goals. And recently, a lot of people have been in some financial setbacks due to lockdowns and everything else. You know, they say in business we should keep at least 6 months worth of reserve there, so that if anything happens, we've got 6 months. And I know for a lot of people and a lot of businesses, you know, our lockdown here in Melbourne went for a lot longer than that. So, you know, those reserves, if they were lucky to have them, were really, you know, put under strain, and, you know, people were put into a lot of financial setbacks because of that. So that is number 3. The fourth core building block is looking after our physical body. So our mental and physical fitness and our health, they're all intertwined, as I've mentioned before. If you improve your health through healthy diet, regular exercise, making sure you're getting enough sleep, not only do you risk, you know, things like chronic disease, depression, cardiovascular disease, you know, diabetes, all those sorts of things, you actually improve your own mental health through exercise. So get up and get walking, people. Yeah. All right. So the first tip I'm going to give you is I want you to understand and remember that building mental skills and being mentally fit and strong doesn't necessarily mean you'll always be happy or you don't suffer setbacks in some way. So what does mental fitness look like? Here's an example for you. Setting healthy boundaries is a fabulous example of mental fitness, because we tend to allow people to encroach on our space. We feel obligated to do things for people. It's a very liberating thing to be able to say no, because ideally, if you don't want to do something, you don't have to do it just because you feel obliged to do it. You know what I mean? Like we all go through stages where, you know, we don't want to do stuff, but it's stuff we actually have to do. That's more about procrastination. This is more about, say, if someone invites you out for dinner and you don't want to go, just say no. You know, it's about creating comfortable boundaries for yourself and the various people within your life, because once you establish those boundaries, you can find yourself in a space where you can reestablish them if you notice something isn't working for you. And when people know where the line is with you, people tend to, they always try and push, but you're in a space where you're now more aware and you can push back on that. Because creating healthy boundaries for you is really about looking after yourself and making decisions for yourself and doing what you want to do, doing things that make you happy, not what makes everybody else happy. And tip number 2, another way to increase your mental fitness is daily meditation. And I know this can be hard for some people, and you don't have to be Buddha sitting under a tree for hours on end. You can create a routine that works for you and commit to it. Just 15 minutes a day is long enough to create significant change. It's like training a dog or working out. Consistency is the key. It's creating that muscle. It's creating the memory within that muscle. And if you're new to it, just start small and work up to it. As I say, it doesn't have to be any more than 15 minutes a day. Once you've learned the basics, all you'll need is a timer. And let me know if this is something that you're interested in and you don't know where to start because you've never done it before, but you feel that it's a space that you would like to enter into, as I am a meditation facilitator and I can steer you in the right direction with that. So don't be afraid to flip me a message. Okay, so another quote here from one of my favorites, all-time favorites, is "The body achieves what the mind believes" by Napoleon Hill. He is someone that I do a lot of reading of his stuff. So check Napoleon Hill out, people. All right, so the summary for mental fitness and tips on building some building blocks. So taking steps to build your mental fitness enhances your ability to cope with stress. It improves your physical health. It improves your productivity at work, improves your relationships and your overall happiness. So when we're mentally fit, the way we interact with the world is different. And I think that's a pretty big statement. So when we are mentally fit, the way we interact with the world is different. So I'll just touch on the 4 building blocks again. We've got emotional, so learning to manage those strong emotions. Social, remember, so having your tribe around you is very important. Financial, that's one where you just, keep check on where you're at financially and, make sure you're achieving your goals that you want to financially and in your life. And physical, get up and get walking, people. It's not just about the physical fitness it creates, it's about the mental fitness that it creates also. And change comes with awareness. So our thought patterns and the pathways we are reinforcing in our lives. And I say that because that's just really about that muscle that I talked about earlier. I use that term a lot. When we're at the gym and we're training and our muscles are growing, each time we go in there, the muscle grows. It's no different with anything else that we do. It's just creating a pattern in our life. So if you continually do something, it will create a pattern, whether that pattern is a good pattern or a bad pattern, and you can change the pattern. It's just up to you about how you want to change it and which direction you want to go. Okay, here we are. All right. We are at the end of the webinar. Thank you all those who joined me on Facebook, and thank you for those who joined me live on the webinar. For those who registered and were unable to make it today, this is a webinar on mental fitness, and you will receive a copy of this webinar in your email box. This email, the webinar and the PowerPoint went live to my Organisational Secrets for Empowered Women's Facebook group. If you have not joined, come along. A link will be provided in the comments. So also remember, watch this space. I will be releasing a mental fitness 4-week course in the upcoming weeks. It will be online. It is something that you can do at your own pace and at any time. So that's pretty exciting. You can also find me on Instagram, LinkedIn, Twitter, and YouTube. I have now, the end of last year, started up also a podcast, Empowering Ordinary Women, which can be found on Anchor and Spotify. which is pretty exciting. I will be doing some interviews with some like-minded life coaches who specialize in things like nutrition, perimenopausal, and those sorts of things. So that's pretty exciting. I've got a few business coaches lined up, a few media people. So I'm really looking forward to those interviews. So if you're not a member of my Facebook group, come on across, you lovely ladies. Organizational Secrets for Empowered Women. For more content and lives, it'd be great to share more information with you. So next week's webinar, the 28th of January at 9 a.m. live here. We will be chatting about giving up control and trusting, and that is a big one. So I will also pop a link to that in the comments once we're finished here. So once again, thank you for joining me this morning. This is Jodie Siemens from Taking Perspective. Thanks everyone on Facebook.